Well, the first afternoon was good. It wasn't crazy good. It was still like moving. The wind was not perfect. The next day we got 8 or 9 hours of perfect surf from sunrise, sun up to sundown. Perfect conditions all day. And what's make it so special is that first of all, the fact that it's so remote and so hard to reach, and also the fact that there's wave every 10 seconds basically, and every wave it could be like 3 foot or 10 foot. It will make something different every time, but the fact that there's so many waves, waves after waves, and they're all special in some ways. So that's what made the day so special. It came because there was like so much to shoot compared to like a big day at Teahupo. It's gonna take an hour for every set to come. You'll have like mid-sized waves in between, but you really want like the big thick ones that takes a while to show up. But Cyclop, it's like every other 12 seconds there's a wave, and a very special one to capture. So that's what made it so special and so different than what I've seen before. And yeah, the place is so hard to reach. It's unbelievable. We had to drive for 9 hours just to reach the park, and then we park at like 9:30 at night. We set up camp, slept, woke up at midnight to drive on the beach when the tide was low. So we were able to drive there. We drove for an hour and a half on the beach, and then set up camp again. Woke up at 5 in the morning, put the ski in the water, drove for another like kilometer on the ski, and then made it happen. It's like a big mission to be out there.
Sick. Welcome to Speaking from Water, episode 48. And today is a very, very special episode. I have a weapon of the lens. He travels the world. Go to his Instagram page and you will see the most insane, beautiful photos. When I first came upon his work, I was absolutely blown away. He has gone to just the most beautiful destinations on the planet. And let me read you a few: Mentawais, Australia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, South Thailand, Nepal, Turkey, Oman, Cambodia, Azores, Mexico, and the list continues on and on. And he doesn't just go to these locations, he absolutely visually destroys them. And I cannot just be more stoked to introduce you all to Kirvan Baldassari. He is on the line from the Mentawais. Thank you very much for joining us, Kirvan. And how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. That was quite an intro.
Bro, you deserve every speck of it, every speck of it. And before we dive in, I must give a shout out to our sponsor of today's program, Western Digital Hard Drives. They secure your data for what matters most in your world. And the cloud isn't reliable, guys. Hard drives are what is valuable, and we thank them very much for sponsoring this program today. Now, I again am just so pumped you're on the program. I've been following your work. You won the 2016 Surfline photo contest back in the day. You were a young man then, and since then, like I just went through the list, you've been all over the place. First, let's get down to the present moment. How are the Mentawais today?
It's nice. It's a beautiful place that reminds me of.
And
I'm currently in a ski resort in front of a hollow tree, so it's a beautiful destination for sure. Beautiful wave. It gets a little crowded, but you know.
and is this a photo trip or a vacation?
It's a photo trip. I'm actually working for the resort now, so I've been here for this. I'm gonna be here for the season.
Ooh, so sick. So what is the season for the resort? And can you tell us a little bit more about the resort? I went on their Instagram page from your link, and it's just incredible. Just a beautiful, beautiful spot.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of the Mentawai so far, but from what I've seen, it's one of the best resort out there for sure. Like literally like a 5 minute paddle to the wave from your bedroom. So it's an incredible resort. Like the ride excellent too. A lot of people come through, hang out. We do like some photo diapo at night, and we hang out together around the pool table. So it's pretty fun.
And how did you get up with them? Did this business of photography is very interesting. You can kind of freelance and do whatever you want. Did you have this idea, or did they reach out to you?
We talked online, and he was just I reached out to them first through like a friend who was doing photography for them, and that's how we got in contact, and we've been talking for a couple of months, like almost like a year and a half. But we talked like a year and a half ago, and then it didn't happen, and then like about 4 months ago I reached out to them again because I was keen to come for the season, so we made it happen this time.
Yeah, and I want to get deep into your history in Tahiti, but tell us a little bit about the culture of the Mentawais and how it is, and what's your perspective on it?
I mean, I just got here like a week ago, so I don't know much about the culture. Noticed that the waves can get pretty crowded, but I mean, it's a really a wave that people chase around, so they're yeah, it's beautiful. Haven't seen
It,
much yet. I got here as well, so I got pretty lucky. Like a week ago, I arrived during like the pump and swell you've all seen on. That was like a good intro.
and what are the beaches or the wave breaks that you've seen so far called?
So the resort is located right in front of Lenses, right? Also called Holo Tree. That's why they call it HT Resort. And I got a chance to do a day trip in Macaroni as well. We went to Lenses Left as well. But it's mostly about the right in front of the resort. That's where the people serve the most, I'll say.
And in addition to being a world-class photographer, you're a surfer also, correct?
Yeah. That's how it all started.
Sick. So, like, do you consider yourself more of a surfer at your core or a photographer? And I guess, like, when you wake up and it's pumping, what do you grab for first, your board or your camera?
I'll say it really depends on the size.
And
So
what
if
direction do
it's
you go?
big,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah, yeah.
get big. If it's big, the first thing I grab is the camera. But I sure love to surf too. Just like a tough choice sometimes. I gotta do photos first, but I love to surf too.
Yeah, so like, what is that dynamic? I shoot, I surf, but like when you walk away from the scene, how does your soul feel after you say get a sick wave or say a sick shot? Where does the stoke build hardest?
It's a good question. I'll say it's pretty similar. I feel like it's harder to get a good wave than to get a good shot. So I might be like more stoked to get like a good wave, especially like on crowded days, when you get to like amazing location when the waves are pumping, it's rare to get it for yourself. So when there's like 40 people in the water, it gets pretty hard to get a good wave. So sometimes it's like way easier to get a good shot. So I guess I'll be more stoked on getting a good wave, but I'm as pumped as for like, to get a good shot as well.
Yeah, and on your page you say not making content but making art, and that speak very heavy on me. um Tell us a little bit about your approach to the aesthetic of water and water photography. And I notice a lot of your material is very natural and doesn't have surfers in it, at least what's presented on the Instagram feed. Speak to the art of capturing water and nature.
I mean, nature is a beautiful thing, and magic happen around us all the time. So I don't go in the water with a plan. It just like mostly happened by itself, you know. I'm here just to witness it and capture it and then share it on my page. But usually, yeah, stuff just happen, you know. In the water, you'll see like the tiniest little details, like sometimes like a wave will pop up and you don't think it's going to be a good one, but you end up getting like the best shot. Or if the waves are not even that good that day, but I don't know, so something happened, like a rainbow, it starts raining, or anything could happen really. And then that's where like usually the best shot comes out, you know.
So sick. So first step is being out there, getting in the situation.
Yeah, exactly. The more time you spend in the water, the better chance you have to get a good shot. You don't want to
Totally.
wait for the most perfect days.
Right. So like kind of about that, like, do you sometimes find yourself when you've been shooting a lot, is there something that goes on in your brain that maybe talks you out of doing your thing, or do you have a mentality where you're on it, on it, on it? And tell us kind of about, I guess, a your good and bad angels.
Not really. Like I said, sometimes I'm not gonna be shooting for like for weeks, you know, and I'm always be stoked to get back in it and go back in the water and just like make things happen. And plenty of days you don't get any good shots, and you're just happy to be out there. It's like going for a surf and not catching good waves. You're still stoked, you know.
And
At least you try to be.
yeah, right. Now you are from the beautiful island of Tahiti. Tell us about your early upbringing and a little bit about your family and how you became so stoked on the ocean and nature, and where does the seed lie?
Well, my parents moved to Tahiti in the early 80s. My mom a little bit earlier than that, like in the 70s. And I was born and raised in Tahiti and spent my whole life there. And to be honest, it felt pretty normal to me. It's like it's as soon as you start traveling around the world that you realize how special it is to come from a place like this. But growing up, my life felt pretty normal, living on an island, like being so close to the ocean. It's like you can really go far without seeing the ocean, so it's a for sure a good place to grow up.
And where were your parents coming from, or your mother and your father? Yep.
From France, but there my dad is half Italian, half French, and my mom is like a big mix of a lot of things. She has like 11 different ethnicities. She did like a DNA test, and we're pretty amazed by it.
Yeah, and Polynesia, French Polynesia, as the name lies, is a former French colony, and the Tahitian people are an ancient people. Can you speak to I guess, I don't know if there's a clash of civilizations or how the two dynamics work on the island?
I mean, a lot of French, a lot of Chinese, and a lot of Tahitian on the island, and it's like the Tahitian are like some of the nicest people around. They're like so welcoming, so friendly. They're always smiling, always keen to have like a conversation with you. Like the surf community, they're all friendly to each other. Bodyboarder and surfers are like friends, you know. You go to a surf spot, everybody says hi to each other. It's a beautiful place. It's like I really can't complain. The culture is amazing, the food is great, and we have like a lot of French influence as well and Chinese influence as well. So it's a big mix.
Beautiful. And when did you get on the surfboard first, and kind of what was that introduction like to you?
Well, the first time I got into a wave was like doing bodyboard when I was in, let me think, like when I was maybe 10 years old. And then I started surfing when I was maybe 12 or 13. And yeah, I was doing a school when I after class on Wednesdays, you know. That's how I got into surfing, because my parents wouldn't take me to surf because it's kind of far away from home. It's like an hour drive to go to the beach break. and it was kind of a pain. They'll do it in the weekend, but during the week it was mostly with like surf school and stuff. So that's how I got started.
Interesting. Someone I've not been to Tahiti, and I'm just assuming that everyone's beachfront, lived on the beach. How is that island like as far as moving around? You say you could only really get to the ocean when you were young on the weekends. Um, Speak to the nature of regular day island life in Tahiti.
There's two Tahiti, and they're like away from the town, like an hour away from town. And for Tahiti, an hour is like super far. So you have the beach really close to your home, but they're like mostly reef breaks there. So you don't learn to surf. I mean, some people do learn to surf on reef breaks, don't get me wrong, but I started on beach breaks. So I was going after school and it was like an hour drive. So I would go to the surf school and they would take me there. But you live very close to the ocean. You can go for a swim like 5 minutes away from your place. I was living in the hills, so it was like maybe a 5 minute drive to get to the beach. But yeah, you spend a lot of time in the ocean and at the beach for sure. Not necessarily at the beach break where you can learn how to surf, but you can go in around the island in like an hour and a half. So it's a tiny island.
Cool. And um, out of curiosity, what did your parents do for work, and how did they make a living?
They were in the black pearl business.
I'm
So
sorry.
Tahitian black pearl, they'll
Yeah, what is that?
Tahitian black pearls. Have you seen the black pearls before? The black pearls for jewelry and stuff that come from
Oh,
Tahiti.
yeah, yeah. Interesting.
They're like working with someone who owned the black pearl farm, and they're like dealing the big a large amount of pearls to the Japanese and stuff and selling them. They're like,
Incredible.
yeah.
And where do those pearls, what's like the lineage history, the thought behind the pearls?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not really sure I can answer that, but it's been around for a while, and they make the pearls in the different islands, in the Tuamotus Islands, or and then bring it back to Tahiti, and then they ship it worldwide, mostly to Japanese.
Interesting. Very interesting. So I want to go then now to your introduction to the bigger waves and what that was like. When did you step up and start doing more beach breaks, more surfing, and how was that trajectory for you?
You mean the surfing or the
Yeah.
photography side?
Well, I want to get to the photography, but it sounds like the surfing was your introduction to the ocean and being comfortable in the ocean. Do I have that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I guess, like, when did you start surfing the heavier waves of Tahiti, and how was that?
Well, I don't consider myself as a charger or anything like it or anything close to it. When I was like 14 years old, like learning how to surf at beach break, you'll like push yourself and go to the local reef breaks in front of your house. And you try to like go there when it's like 4 or 6 feet, and then you push yourself a little bit. But yeah, I'm definitely don't consider myself surfing big waves as a surfer who surfs big waves. So, but yeah, pushing whatever you're capable of, going to the reef breaks, and that's how you get closer to heavier waves for sure.
So then let's go to the camera. When did you start picking up a camera or get the mindset that uh, this is something that could be done and I'm going to do it?
Well, I always love to take photos. Like when I'm growing up, my dad will always like have a camera when we're on holidays and stuff, shooting film. And I always had like a little point and shoot with me and taking photos of everything. And then I got like a first smartphone when maybe in 2004 or something. And the smartphone that was taking photos, and I kind of always loved to take photos, but nothing. I mean, I wasn't thinking of a career or anything. And that's when I moved to the States, and I took some classes, and I started doing photography as a major, that I realized that I could do this for a living. So that's pretty much when I start shooting like more intensely, I guess.
Very interesting. Yeah, reading your bio, that struck me that you went to LA to go to school, because a lot of people who are in such a beautiful location in the islands, they just want to stay and live their life and not branch out. What was that like as far as you internally going to school and then deciding I want to leave and further my education elsewhere in a foreign land? And how was that emotionally for you?
Well, to be honest, a lot of people in Tahiti go abroad to study because there's a not yeah, there's a University of French Polynesia, but there's not everything you can study there. So a lot of people do travel, most people to France and to do higher education. I decided to go to LA because I had a friend there and I really loved the place. And yeah, I started doing a business and econ and stuff. But as soon as I took like a photography class, I realized I could take photography as my major. So that I quickly went that way.
And how old were you when you left to go to LA?
I was 19.
19, graduate high school, you're on to LA. And what was
I took 2 years. I took 2 years at the University of French Polynesia. I graduated high school when I was 17, but it was so hard to stay focused and go to class because the university has the most beautiful views and you can see the waves peeling from the classroom, and it's like very hard to stay focused. So that didn't really work for me. So I decided to go because I wasn't getting anything done in Tahiti.
wow, interesting. And you said you had a friend in LA. Did you go visit before you went?
Exactly. I mean, my parents would take me to the States every year. We used to go skiing every other year. And so I went to LA plenty of times growing up. And but before I decided to make the move to study there, I visited my friend. I was like, I think this is it for me.
Wow, wow. So you had an idea of American culture, and you're like, I want to go check this out and be educated. What was your perception of America initially coming from Tahiti?
Well, I mean, it was like Disneyland, you know. You get there, everything is big, everything is accessible, everything is easy to get. And I mean, I got lucky enough, like my parents like could send me there, and I was, yeah, pretty blessed. I'm not gonna lie.
And what university did you go to?
I went to Santa Monica College.
Santa Monica, sick.
It
And
it was a community college.
awesome. And initially you're thinking business, econ. What was the thought behind that?
Well, that because I was still a young kid, didn't really know what to do, and that was like the main thing that you could study. That was the easy way out. I'll say easy way out of the island, and a lot of people were doing that. So I was like, well, I'll give it a try, and it was definitely not for me. As soon as I found photography, because you got to take general classes to graduate business or whatever major you're in, and I took photography as a general class, and then I took a second one and was like, well, I guess I can make my major out of it. And I really enjoyed it. Shooting film, printing photos. That was really fun. We used to shoot large format. It was like really great.
So these classes, I guess this is the mid 2000s, they were teaching you classical photography as in film and kind of the canon of the history. Speak a little bit about that as far as the academics of photography, because everyone today has the smartphone, everyone's taking pictures, but there's something to the history and the canon of the art. And what was that like?
Well,
And
90% 90, sorry to cut you off. 90% of the classes were film. So we could only use Photoshop at the end of the class, at the end of the program for the portfolio. So that was pretty much like one of the last two classes. Otherwise, all the classes we took were just shooting film. We learned the dark room. We learned to shoot large format 4x5. we learned color and black and white photography, printing in darkroom as well. So no, it was very interesting, very different than what we're used to now.
Yeah, and then how did that, I guess, inform your trajectory into digital? And then when did you make the step into digital? After school or during your studies as a
Well,
photography major?
even the first class I took, I had a digital camera, and we were shooting digital as well for the first class ever we took. It was like digital, but as soon as you get into the program, then everything is film. But they let you borrow the equipment. So I didn't personally own any film cameras. I had a digital camera, but for the classes, the assignment and stuff, we're just shooting film. But they would let us borrow the stuff they had, which was great.
Yeah, and
But
looking
I always had a digital camera.
always with the digital. And how did knowing the old school methods then go on to inform your digital process and your artistic vision of how you would create something? And I guess by that I mean the settings, the way you frame a shot. Did that come from your schooling, or did you kind of develop your own personal artistic process?
Well, good question, but I guess a little bit of both. I don't really think about it. I mean, I learned all the settings and stuff at school, but then now shooting, it feels pretty natural, like the compositions and stuff. Especially like shooting surfing, it's like it happens so fast. You don't really have time to plan a shot. It's not like when you're doing studio shoots and stuff, and when you plan everything, like shooting surfing, like moments happen like this, and you don't really plan the composition before, you have an idea. I'm gonna shoot wide angle today. I'm gonna like try to get like the landscape on the back and stuff, backdrop, but you don't always get what you want. So compositions just happen, we'll plan it. But yeah, settings, I guess comes from school. And also I watch like a lot of tutorials and YouTube videos and stuff. So I guess that helps too.
And would you say that your I guess post-production is a lot where you do your formatting and I guess you're taking away stuff that is not as aesthetically appealing, and then you're going towards the shots that are highly framed. So post-production plays a big role in your process.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to edit my photos, and I like to spend times on it, remove the stuff I don't like, adding colors, removing distracting elements, focusing like the light in some ways. But yeah, I like to spend some time editing my photo for sure. And I took some Photoshop classes and stuff that helped me a lot to learn the programs and stuff. Lightroom, we would take a Lightroom classes, Photoshop classes and stuff.
And did you take these on just your own research online, or I guess I'm asking for people out there who are interested in doing the same. How did you go about learning these classes,
Well, it
taking these
was it
classes?
was part of the program. That was part of the program in Santa Monica College. We will have those classes as well.
Awesome. Awesome. So you graduate, and were you thinking that you were going to go straight into travel surf photography, or did you have an idea that was different than that?
Well, I graduated in 2012, and I spent like a year in LA to work as an assistant. So I was doing a lot of assisting jobs around LA. And after a year, I kind of felt like I wanted to go home. So I packed my bag and I went back home. And isn't as easy as I thought it would be to find a job as a photographer there. And I was still fairly young, so I was still like trying to figure out stuff out. And I got lucky enough to get a job at the government. So I was like the photographer for the president and the ministers and I did that for like 5 years.
Wow, incredible.
So I was just shooting surfing on the side pretty much, and that's how I got started. But that was mostly like on my free time.
Can you tell us a little bit about that experience? Because that sounds pretty incredible, being involved in such a high level of the government in Tahiti, and speak about that.
Yeah, well, I got this job and I was working in the government. I was following the president around around the islands, around Tahiti, every meeting, every handshake, every he wanted to communicate about. And, it was two of us, two photographers, and he was nine ministers and a president. In general, he was like nine minister. He changed over the years, but pretty much like 10 members of the government that we had to follow everywhere to, yeah, communicate about everything they were doing. It was very interesting, but definitely not related to the ocean.
Yeah, in America, politics is kind of known for being toxic, and a lot of combativeness between political thought. What is it like in Tahiti? Is it mellow, or can we expect that it's the same?
Well, it's been before I moved back, it was like very unstable for like 10 years. Changed government every 6 months, every year. Something would happen and you would like change government. When I was studying in LA and stuff, I wasn't really following politics or anything, but my parents would tell me what would happen. And it was like always something different, always like so it's been stable for 10 years, and then right before I moved back, a new government got in place, and then that's how I got hired. And yeah, it's been stable for like a year and a half, and then it changed again, but within the same political party. So I was able to keep my job, and I did that for an extra 4 years. But yeah, it's politics, you know. They're like they're mostly mellow. They're like, I'm not gonna lie, politicians are pretty chill.
And what are the major issues in Tahiti politically speaking?
Oh man, I want to get into that. To be honest, I'm not qualified to talk about the political issues.
Yeah, and I only asked out of curiosity. Like I'm trying to think, what are the things that they would be debating, being you know, over here on the east coast of the
Oh, a
United
lot of
States.
things like building stuff. I mean, I can go on and on. It's like there's a lot of things that could be taken care of in a much better way. So they fighting over everything.
So would it kind of be like a clash between people who want to keep things old school and quaint versus those who want to develop and make it more economically
Yeah, it could
up?
be, to be honest, it could be anything. They just like to fight. They're fighting over power, and there's like different political parties, maybe like two of them, two big ones, and maybe a third one, and they're keep switching side to be in the best position to trying to get the job at to be the minister of something. It's like it's terrible, man. I don't want to. It
Yeah.
would be for a different podcast, let's say.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
This
And
from
I'm
politics and not speaking.
yeah, we're not going to go there anymore then.
But
So
it was very interesting to be able to travel around French Polynesia. I was going to a lot of islands. Not many people had a chance to visit. So it was great. It was great to see everything there, to be connected to this world for a minute. But yeah, after 5.5 years, I was happy it was done.
and let's go a little bit to those islands because a lot of us only really know about the major island. What does the island chain consist of, and how many islands? And when you went to these remote islands, what is that like?
Well, there's 5 archipelagos that are very different to each other. So there's 100 islands total. So French Polynesia is the size of Western Europe. So it's pretty huge. You
Wow.
can take a plane and fly for 5 hours to reach like the most remote islands.
Wow. That's
Like you
incredible.
heard of the Marquesas, or like a chain of islands that have huge lush mountains with like amazing fruit. People hunt there. They have even a different language compared to the Tuamotus, or only atolls like the Maldives. And people just fish and do work with like coconut and stuff because they don't have any resources. They don't have soil. They go in fruit or anything. It's like different, very
Wow.
diverse.
So these are indigenous people that purely live off the land like they have for thousands of years.
Pretty much.
And when you said the name at the start, you broke up. Can you repeat that for us?
The Marquesas?
There you go. Thank you very much, Marquesas. So um, you leave the political scene and you start thinking, I'm getting into the water now. What was that mindset like? Because it seems so different than where you were. It's almost like you were following your heart. Tell us about that journey.
Well, I was shooting from the water while I was working at the government. I started like in the middle of it. Like you said, when I got the prize from the Surfline 2016 shot of the year, that's what really got me into surf photography. And that year was like incredible for waves. A couple of weeks after that, a big swell hit Chopo, and Keala Kennedy got the ride of the year. I was there to witness it too, and like the shot got nominated for one of the shot of the year. And I went to the States to go to the Big Wave Award. So that really like got me into it kind of. And then so that's when I got my first water housing, and I was like, I like doing this stuff, you know. That's what's make me happy. And I'm not good enough to surf like 10-foot barrels at Tahupo. So I was just like, it's a good thing I can take photos.
Yeah, to be out there and feel the vibe. That's incredible. So to the 2016 shot, for those listening, it was an incredible shot. Just to describe it, the blue coming off the back was outrageous. The heaviness was supported by a just massive barrel, and the surfer in the wave was very calm, collected, and the composure of the shot was awesome. And congratulations on winning that award. Uh, I understand you were shooting from a boat from that shot. Is that right?
Yeah. And what makes the shot so special to me is that I was sitting on the top floor of the boat. So it was like a two-story boat, and I was sitting on the top floor. So that gives this little bit higher perspective where I can look down on the wave, kind of. And so you're like a little bit over the reef, and you that's what makes the shot special, because you can see the reef through the water going down, if that makes sense.
100%. And thank you for sharing that, because when I first saw the photo and I read the article in Surfline, I was analyzing it. And you know, a lot of water shots, as you know, the composure is a lot different, but you're up high. I assume you're shooting with more of a
Yeah.
zoom lens. And that's really what gave the photo the uniqueness. And I also assume that where your boat driver positioned you looked very sketch. Speak to your boat driver that in that moment and how he got you in that position, because we've all seen boats in the channel at Chopes just get wrecked, and I'm sure you've seen it. Speak to the intensity of that moment.
Well, the boat driver does the hardest job for sure. And that was a day where it wasn't actually too crowded, and we were like photographer on the boat. And we're more towards the end of the wave, where usually people who do a movie a video wants to be sitting because they want to see the whole wave. But as a photographer, you like to be a little bit on top so you can look through the wave from the side. But for this shot, we're sitting at the end of the wave, so that's why you have like a kind of a front perspective. But yeah, the boat driver, there are like the best out there, some of the best out there, and they have a really hard job to position the boat at the perfect spot. And it's like some photographer wants something different. It's not like everyone wants to see the same angle, but sometimes you have like 5 different photographers who want to be in a different position, you know, so it's hard for the boat driver to please everyone. But I mean, you're just stoked to be out there. At some point you're like, whatever, wherever he can put us, as long as we're safe.
And how old were you then in 2016 when you took that photo?
I was 28.
28. And had you been in the lineup at Chopes when it was firing many times before that?
I went there a couple times, yeah. Even before doing photography, I would go there to watch the contest or stuff like this. But at this point, I don't think I've been in the water shooting yet.
Yeah, you said that you were then going to get your water housing after you kind of felt the accolades. You went to America, you got the award, and you said to yourself then, is now I'm going to get the water housing. Tell us a little bit about that trip and your mindset going out of it.
Well, I went to the state. I didn't get the award for the Big Wave Award. I got the award for Surfline Shot of the Year, but that was like two different things. When I went to the States and I got the shot of Kiara Kennelly, I didn't win the award, but I went there at the ceremony, and that's when I got the water housing, just to make everything clear. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I got a custom made FPL water housing for my first full frame camera, and that was really cool. Coming back to Tahiti after that trip, I was always keen to be in the water. I was shooting everything, every conditions. I was like, it was raining on the wind swell. I was still out there with my friends, and I'm lucky enough to have like really good really good surfer friends. They're like, some of them are pros, so even on like not so good day, they will have happen, you know. They'll do like 360 airs and stuff.
And
That was
just
fun
so
to shoot with them.
yeah, so just so I get this clear, you got an SPL water housing,
Yeah.
and what made you go with them and that brand?
Good question. I can't even tell you. I don't remember. I had an Nikon D60 at that time, and it wasn't that easy to get a water housing from the they didn't have any stock for it, you know, like Aquatech wasn't making those, so I had to like get a custom one, because
So you
usually like back in, people mostly shoot with 5D Mark IIs and stuff like this, and because I had like a Nikon D600, I had to make a custom one, you know. They didn't have
yeah,
any.
so you got the water housing based upon your camera you already had, and that was the kind of the mindset. And what was your lens port on that one?
I had a 14-24. That was my first lens port I got,
Awesome. So
but
you
that
could
would
get
fit my 14. That would fit my 24-70 also. Even though it was like a dome port, it will still work, you know. It
right.
wasn't the best,
So you could
but
go from
I mean,
wide angle barrels to zoom depending on the day and what you wanted to do, and that was your intro into the water.
I didn't have a zoom gear though, so I had to choose what focal length I wanted to shoot at.
Okay, so 70 was your max.
I had a 105 that would fit in the water port as well, in the lens port as well.
Okay. And
So
just like
with one port, I could shoot with 3 different lenses.
awesome. And those early days, what did you feel you got the best shots from regarding your lens setup?
Well, it really depends on the day. Smaller days, I would like to take the wide angle for sure, shooting underwater and stuff. And then bigger days, I'll go with the 24-70 all the day.
And at this time, were you still shooting land, or did you were you just full in the water?
I mean, there's not that many spots in Tahiti where you can shoot from land anyway. Like all the spots are like outer reefs. So as soon as I got the water housing, I would just hang out with my friend. We'll go on different spots and shoot from the water. But yeah, there's not many spots where you can shoot from land. You gotta be
And
in the water, gotta be out there.
yeah, what were your favorite spots to go shoot? And I guess kind of what was the stepping ladder up then to being in the water at Chops, Tiapu?
Well, my home spot is called Tapuna. It's a shallow left-hand break, like 5 minutes away from my house, and it's the clearest water you've seen. It's like a baby Chops kind of, and it's like a perfect proving ground, a perfect learning ground to get into water photography. It's like a beautiful studio. It's like an aquarium, and all of my friends serve there, and I mean, I would spend a lot of time at this spot for sure. And then I would go to Teahupo on bigger days.
And I'm now looking at your Instagram feed. Would this be that location?
Exactly.
All right. And for those listening, he is in the inside of the wave on the back, and there's a surfer going down the line, and it's absolutely shocking. The water is clear as can be, and it strikes envy in the souls of all who shoot water photos to get water so clear and in such a position. Um, Speak to that, because that photo is just incredible, and you know that's your home base, that's your home location. Uh, as someone who shoots photos as well, it just seems like there's an infinite amount of different things you could do there. Talk about your Clearwater studio.
Well, it's not always that clear, to be honest. Some days are way clearer than others. It's always like clean, but it's not always as transparent. The clarity varies if it's been raining a lot or stuff like this. But if you didn't get any rain for like a couple days, a week or two, then the water can get really clear. And you shoot at noon. Like in the morning, it'll be like darker for sure. If you shoot like during the day, midday, then the transparency of the water is off the chart. And if there's like no wind, that magic can happen, you know.
Yeah.
Those were
So
we chase.
beautiful. And um, so the clarity is dependent upon the rain, and the light, which is dependent upon the time of day.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and the wind as well. The glassier it is, the more clean and clear it's gonna be.
And does Tiapu uh ever get as clear from the back, or is it just so heavy and so churned up that it's not always like that, or
It's not
ever?
always like that. When it's big, it's not as clear because there's so much water moving. But on the
Hmm.
smaller days, it gets less clear or even clearer. There's like a couple of photographer there that does like some amazing water shots. You've probably seen a lot of them. But yeah, Teahupo gets really unbelievable in the water. But on smaller days, because as soon as it gets like bigger than 6 feet, there's so much water moving that it's not as clear, you know.
And what are the is that the one location that you love the most, or is there other spots that you have a strong place in your heart at on
I
your home
mean,
island?
Teahupo is definitely the jewel, you know, the jewel of French Polynesia. It's where everything happens, and the mana there, like the spirit of this place, you know, like the mountains at and the wave at the end of the mountains. It's at the end of the road, like everything comes together. It's such an incredible place. If you've never been, I recommend for you to fly down there, where if you can line it up with like a big sail, it's definitely special, incredible. Like every surfer should experience it once in their life for sure. But there's like many other spots. I mean, it's always good to explore, especially because Teahupo gets so crowded and there's like tons of photographer there. And I mean, it's hard to get away from it because you never know, you can miss like the shot of the year or the ride of the year. So it's always hard to try to score a different wave when it's really pumping down there. But I mean, sometimes you got to take risks, you know. It's not like it really
Yeah.
happens. We always go on big days. Everybody's so scared to miss it.
Yeah, I was in the parking lot early this morning before my pool opened with my friend, and he's a big wave surfer, and I was telling him I was about to interview you, and he was telling me his own story. His name's Rob Brown, rides for Volcom, and he was saying that one time he went out there, he paddles out in the dark, and it's 10 to 12 foot, and he said it was just one of the most glorious moments of his life, and I can feel the vibe from you and him and all the pictures I've seen that this is what it might be the best wave in the world. Can you kind of, what do you know about the deep rooted culture, that the history, the thought process behind the spirit of that wave, and what do the locals say about it?
I mean, when once you get there, if you ever make it down there, you'll feel it for yourself. It's this place is magic. It's like the mountains combined with the wave. The wave is so powerful, so shallow. I mean, you just feel the mana down there. It's incredible. If you go on big days, it's, I mean, I never seen anything like it. It's very, very special, to be honest. It's, I mean, I might be biased, but it's one of the most incredible places I've been to for sure.
Well, yes, you've been all over the world. You've been to more places than most people on the planet. Is it your favorite spot? Is it your favorite wave?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say no for sure. I've seen some stuff, but the Ahupo is where the my heart is for sure.
And
Tahiti in general, to be honest, it's just like we have friends and family there. We grew up there. We have like maybe a group of 30 friends. I've been friends with them for like 30 years, you know.
incredible. Um, can you tell us a time you're swimming there where it was heavy, and there might have been some action in the water? Can you give us a story that comes to mind?
Well, there is a story I always tell people. It was like the closest I've been to being in a really bad position was a day where it was maybe like 10 foot 10 foot on the sets, 10, 12 foot on the sets, and you're shooting from the water, and there's like bunch of us in the water. It's not like I'm not shooting fisheye. I'm not like putting myself in a dangerous position or anything. We're mostly shooting from the channel, so it's a fairly safe spot. But if you try to hold the shot a little bit longer on a 10-foot set, you can get dragged in a little bit. And behind it was like a 15 footer, a tow set from Rayman. I was on it, and I was sitting a little bit further down than everybody else. So I had a good paddle, and I got pretty scared of what could have happened. Luckily, I didn't get sucked over or anything, but it was a situation when I thought, you don't want to be here. It can get dangerous because on big days when it's like 10 foot, it can be 10 foot all day, and by the end of the day there's going to be a 15 footer out of nowhere. You don't know why, but it's there, it's coming. It's that's what's so special about this spot and so dangerous at the same time. It can be like 10 foot, and then all of a sudden there's going to be like a 15 footer, or like 6 foot and there's going to be like a 10 footer.
Yeah, and for those
So you can
listening,
get like in.
yeah, and for those listening, uh, we're talking about the back of the wave, not the front. So when you say 10 foot, it's really 20 foot on the face, and it's breaking on knee deep water. For those who might not understand the surf spot we're talking about listening, do I have that correct?
Well, to be honest, we talk in meters, so I'm getting confused with all these numbers
Yeah,
and
okay.
stuff. I'm just like, if it's 15 foot at Topo, you don't want to be there. You know, it's toe sets. It's
Toe
like
sets.
5, 7 meter, whatever you call it. It's unpleasant to be there
Yeah,
if you're in a bad position.
on that, I've seen a lot of videos, and I've seen videos where some are paddling and some are towing at the same time. What's the etiquette like in those situations that you've noticed uh, as far as the guys charging?
Well, on the worst days, you've seen guy tow 6 foot set, you know. Sometimes it gets so crowded, it's ridiculous. Like over the years, we had some session where it was like really ridiculous. Like there was like 15 tow teams waiting for the bomb, but there was no bomb. Like some people would take bigger wave paddling than other would tow, you know. I feel like he got a little bit better. It had a moment where it was really bad. So many tow teams were out there, but the boys are pushing the limit now, and you can see them take off on the craziest waves. Where's the
What
limit? I'll say, you know,
yeah.
been pushing it. That's
And when the people from abroad show up, how do the locals handle that as far as priority and just vibing and what's that like?
well, it's usually not that bad because like the foreigners usually stay with the locals at their homestay and stuff like this, so they kind of have have no other choice than to respect them, you know. But there's been some days when it's kind of like out of control, but usually it's pretty much in order. And at the
I,
spot, if everybody paddles on big days, the local are gonna leave waves for the foreigners. They're gonna be like, if you want it, you can have it. There's wave for everyone at this point. If you want it, you can have it. But most of the people don't want to have to do anything with it. When like a 12 footer comes, not everyone wants to paddle on it.
yeah, incredible. So the Olympics are coming this summer to Teahupo'o. Uh, what what's the there's in the media I've heard drama about it as far as scaffolding being built. What's your local uh, ear on the curb? What have you heard about?
Well,
Are people
no comment.
stoked? No comment. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
mean, I'm
it,
not there to witness it, so I don't want to like speak from what I heard. But I mean, it's been a big mess. But at the same time, locals make money out of it, so that helped them out in some ways. But at the same time, you don't want the spot to be destroyed, and the Olympic have kind of a bad rep. So it's not all good, but it could be worse, I guess. Hopefully, it's not gonna get any worse than what it is.
understand. So you're now in the Matawis, but you've gone to so many places. What allowed you, I guess, to get out and go to these locations? How did you um, build the ability to do so? And what what was your first trip abroad coming out of you know putting in the time um, on your home island? And where did you go?
Well, I always wanted to do a trip around the world. My dad's been traveling his whole life before coming to Tahiti, and I always heard stories about traveling to India, to Nepal, and stuff like this. And as I said, I was working for the government for 5.5 years, so I put money aside. I wasn't like partying much. I wasn't traveling much. I was just like putting money aside. And me and my partner, yeah, worked for like 6 years, and we saved our money, and we decided to go right before COVID hit. So we kind of got stranded on the island for a while, and then as soon as the border reopened, we decided to pack our bag and go. So we wanted to go to Asia first, but everything was closed and locked down. So we went to South America. We went to Mexico and Colombia. We spent 5 months there in total. So that was a good way to start our trip. We did Mexico. I went to Puerto Escondido and Barra de la Cruz. That was like a good experience. That wasn't a surf trip. but that was the first destination I surfed, so that was good. But then after that, I didn't surf for a whole year, and I didn't even travel with my water housing, to be honest, because I got a new I got a new camera setup at the beginning of the trip, and I didn't have the money to spend on the water housing, and also because I was going to a lot of places where surfing wasn't a priority. So I got a new camera setup, and then I travel for 15 months with my partner, but not related.
And what was that camera setup?
I got a R5 Canon.
Okay, so you switch from the Nikon to the Canon, and
Yeah.
how was that as far as the change in your ability to create? Were you did you feel like you were on another level?
Well, it was for sure much easier. After my D600, I got a D810. So that was an incredible camera. I got a Aquatech water housing for it. So I've been shooting with the D810 for years, and it's been like a workhorse. It never let me down. I sunk one and I got another one, and I've been happy with the quality of it for years, you know. Never complain about it or anything. It was just like a little bit slow when you're shooting like wide angle in the water. We're shooting like 5.5 frames per second or something like that. But the quality has been always amazing, like 36 megapixel with like really sharp images. So yeah, going to a Canon R5 mirrorless was like just the focusing system, I guess, was better, and like the frame per second, but the quality, to be honest, didn't really change. The files are a bit bigger, but like I said, some of my best images been shot on my older camera, you know.
And then you
But yeah,
also,
switching to different system.
yes,
No,
I'm
go
sorry to
ahead.
cut you off. Yeah, I was just going to talk then about the Aquatech and how that was better or worse, or up leveled you to another state.
I mean, it was crazy because when I saw the Aquatech, it was sold online in Tahiti. So a guy was selling his Aquatech housing, and I went and see it, and I was like, oh, I wanted to buy a D810, but I never got a chance to buy it. And I have a D600 that I would like to use. And I was like, I have a water housing for a D600, which is very rare to be shooting with that camera. So we ended up like just trading water housing in Tahiti. It's like the most random thing. You would never guess that would happen, but that actually happened when we just traded water housing. So I still had my D600, and I traded my water housing for the Aquatech D810 one. So that was like kind of a funny story I thought I would share.
Yeah. And the so this initial travel, there's no water housing involved. You're on straight travel mode. You have a regular camera. What was that like for you as a water person? Did you have any regret when you got to some of these locations?
Not really, because like I said, a lot of location where like, I mean, in the water, I love shooting waves, but if there's no wave, I don't really feel the need to get in the water. I love to do aerial photography as well, drone photography. I was really focused on that at that time, and I was like seeing all these beautiful places from the drone point of view. It was incredible. The only time I really kind of regretted it when at the end of our trip we went to Indonesia, and I went to some places where there were waves, and but I was like, well, you know what? I'm just gonna surf. It's okay, you know. So I ended up surfing instead of taking photos, but we went to 10 different countries where there were no waves, so I didn't really miss it, you know. I was missing surfing mostly.
Yeah, and I'm looking through your Instagram now, and you have so many awesome aerial shots. How did you get into the aerial photography, and how did that process in cross pollinate with your water photography?
Well, the drone is just an extra tool, you know. As it was easy to get access to one, it was just like something you can really pass on. It's super easy to fly. super easy to get good shots, and it's fun to use. I mean, it was just natural to me. When I got my first drone, I was like, that's it, I'm hooked.
And what did you get?
So practical, they're tiny stuff. I got my first one was a Phantom 4, but after like a couple of months, I had like a problem with it. I shipped it to get it fixed, but it never really got fixed. So I ended up buying a Mavic 2 Pro from a friend. He gave me a really good deal, and I've been using it since then. And knock on wood, I haven't crashed it yet. He went
So,
to maybe 12, 15 countries.
well, yeah, and I'm looking at this photo you shot in Thailand, um, of this island with a lagoon in the middle, and it is
Incredible.
something out of another world. First of all, awesome content. Uh, for those listening, it's a almost mountains jetting out of a blue sea with uh, a donut hole in the middle of a beach lagoon, and it's in Thailand. Can you can you speak to that location and that photo?
That's one of the most beautiful island I've been to be honest. Even though I've been to French Polynesia, I grew up there, and I've seen a lot of beautiful islands around home, but this one was very special to me. Um, it's in the south of Thailand. It's a incredible protected island. Nobody lives on it. It's like a 30-minute ride from Koh Phi Phi. This island is called Phi Phi Lay. It's actually where they filmed the movie, part of the movie, The Beach with Leo.
Dude,
So it's a
I was
very,
gonna say
very,
that
very
that looks exactly like it. So that is from that movie, The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio. Epic, dude. And did you know you were going there?
exactly. It's a very touristy. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, where you were, was that kind of like a trip? You're like, I got to go see this place and check it out.
Well, I've seen photos of it, and we're like traveling all over Thailand, and we really wanted to see the most beautiful places, and that was on the list for sure. But the thing that made it really special is that we went there right after Thailand reopened after COVID, and we've seen photos of this place when there's like 100 boats in the bay, with like no joke 1,000 people on the beach. It's terrible. And I've met a lot of people who went there and really didn't like it because it was so touristy, so packed with people taking photos and stuff. And when we were there in the morning at sunrise, we're like 10 people on the beach. No boats in the bay because they don't allow it anymore. And you can look online, there's photos of it where there's like 100 boats in the bay with 10 people per boat. So there's like literally like 1,000 people on the beach. And that's what made it so special to us, because we went there and it was empty and we really enjoy it. That was one of the highlights of our trip for sure. We spent like a week on this island, and we had the best time, me and my partner.
And how did you take a boat to the island?
Yeah, they do day trips and stuff. You just like book with the hotel or with like a local guide, and he'll, like a fisherman, will take you to the island and like spend the half a day there or something. And I did it like three times during my week to try to get the best flight, the best day.
Yeah, and for those listening in this photo, uh, it's there's no one on there's not a soul in the area, and it's shocking. It almost looks like it was made by AI. Congratulations on that one as well. Uh, and
Thank you. To be honest,
y-
it's one of my favorite shot I got during my trip. It's like this shot is so special to me. I really want to like to print it and put it on my wall someday. I'll do it.
yeah, and you are an amazing artist. Can you speak to the printing and to the act of applying images to walls as art, as an art photographer, and your thought process around that?
Well, it's always hard to choose like a photo to put on the wall, because you know you're gonna look at it for like for hopefully years to come. So it's always hard, and also you gotta like agree with my partner in some way because we don't always want to put the same thing on the wall. So it's not as easy as it seems.
I understand. So we're talking in a personal manner here, but what about for art sales and selling to fans and people in the public?
Well, I'll put my top 20 shots on my website on my print shop, and I'm like, this is the shot everybody's gonna like. And then I get requests of like the most random shots sometimes, and people are like, oh, would you be able to add this one to your print shot? And to me, just definitely not even top 100 of my shots, and some people, I don't know, like things resonate with them more. It's really to pick to know what people are gonna like. We're all different, and that's why it's so hard to make a print shop because you have no idea what people are gonna like resonate with.
Yeah, and will you make it for them or will you say no, that's not what I decide as the best?
Oh, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do what people like. I don't mind. I just add it on my print shop, and they can order it if you like.
And for those listening, how do people get up with you to buy your art for their wall?
You can just order on my website. There's a link on my Insta bio, and yeah, you order it, you pick it, you choose the size, the finish, and you'll get delivered to your place worldwide.
Epic, epic. For those listening, go do it. The work here is out of this world. Back to the traveling. I see you spent some time in Australia. Was that for travel or business, or did you kind of plant yourself there?
Well, as a French citizen, you can do a working holiday visa before the age of 35. So you can have a year visa to work there if you're younger than 35. And then if you do 88 days of farm work, you can have a second year. So before I turned 25, we actually applied when we're traveling in Colombia with my partner. And right after they reopened the borders in Australia, we applied and we thought it was going to take like a couple months to get the visa approved. And it was actually instant. So we're at the beginning of our trip and we applied a visa and we actually got it granted. So we realized that we're going to make a move and go to Australia after our trip. After traveling for like 15 months, we went back home for Christmas and then we started a new life in Australia for a full year. We spent 7 months in Margaret River. We did our farm work and we got a second year visa granted for 2024. But then I decided to go to the Mentawais to get some work done. So it kind of overlapped a bit. My partner
Are
is still in Sydney at the moment.
is he or she going to visit you in the Matawis?
That's the plan, yeah. She's going back to Tahiti for a month first, and then she'll come visit.
Is she
But
also
after
Tahitian?
7 months, yeah, she's from the island as well. She grew up on the sister island, actually, Moorea, which is
Sick.
even more special.
Uh, Now Australia has some of the world's most amazing slabs. The Margaret River area has amazing slabs, and I see some sick slabs in your role here. Speak to the slabs. Tell us a little bit about the ones you visited and what your perspective is on those.
Well, Margaret River is a beautiful region. I don't know if you've ever been. I really highly recommend it. We fell in love with the region when we were there. It's unbelievable. They have the most beautiful beaches. Like the beach breaks are incredible. The water is emerald green. The sand is so white and so thin. It's fine. Sorry, so fine, and it's incredible. It's something we don't have in the white and beach break where it's when the water is like crystal clear as well. So it's been a really great experience to spend some time there. In terms of slab, yeah, in Margaret River they have like the box, the famous box. So it's been fun to witness it for sure. And we were there we were there during the contest too, so it was fun to see all the pros there. It's actually on at the moment, so that was actually like a year ago when we were there already. Time flies. So yeah,
Yeah.
exploring, there's like, it's a 100-kilometer coast and there's like hundreds of waves everywhere. It's just like you got to travel and explore with the SUV. It's really fun.
Did you do much swimming with your water housing there?
Yeah, a fair bit. I did a fair bit. Not so much at crazy slabs. I didn't swim at the box because when he was on, it was when the pros were there, and he was like 10 photographer in the water and all the pros and everyone, and that wasn't really appealing to me. But yeah, I did my fair bit of swimming there. I had my water housing. It was great, but I really enjoyed the surfing when I was there because I knew it was like once in a lifetime kind of opportunity to hang out and surf and enjoy.
Yeah, you used a very cool term. I thought the thinness of the sand compared to that of Tahiti. Can you kind of dial that down a little bit more as far as the granular nature of Tahiti versus that of Margaret River and maybe any other beaches around the world? Because sand like waves are very localized to the spot and have a deep meaning, much like those black pearls that you spoke of at the beginning of this podcast.
Well, the sand in Tahiti, the white sand in Tahiti will be like kind of corals and shells particle grinded. So it's fairly thick, if I can say that. And the sand in Margaret River is like flour, like powder, almost like really, really different texture, really different vibe for sure. And we don't have, like I said, we don't have beach break where there's like white sand beach. So we don't have those like Hawaii, they have like the nice shore break with like crystal clear water. In Tahiti, the beach break we have is black sand beach, black sand. So it's very, very different. It was good to surf in those conditions.
Incredible. And speak to how that feels on your feet when you're walking on it.
It's almost, it's squeaking a little bit. It's that thin. When you walk on it, it makes like this weird sound where it's like actually like squeaking underneath your feet. It's weird.
Yes, yes. I live here. I'm in North Carolina. Wrightsville Beach is my local beach, and we have sand also that squeaks. So I can
Yeah.
relate to what you're speaking about. Uh, the the geography of this planet's incredible, especially on the coastline. And those who are water people and spend time by the beach know this. Um, I want to bring up this wave in Sydney as we're speaking about slabs. Um, can you tell us where that was and the nature of this photo? It's very striking to me. For those listening, it's an insane slab wave with a that's backlit, illuminating the wave in an emerald green. And I'm assuming that's not you in the foreground. Maybe it is, and someone else is taking the shot. But it's an awesome piece and very moody and a lot of people don't know maybe that are listening that Australia has amazing slabs. Um, can you speak to this one?
This one is located 3 hours south of Sydney, and it's a wave I've been to before with my friend. We went camping there, but the conditions were not right, and we camped there for like 3 days, and I still went in the water and got a couple shots, but it was like wrong swell, wrong tide, wrong wind, and I kind of see some still. I was able to see some amazing moment, and a couple days after I got back to Sydney, this swell kind of popped up, and it doesn't need big swell or anything. It's just like the condition kind of aligned. The tide was high in the morning, the wind was offshore, and after a couple days, I decided to go back because that was kind of my chance to see it in all of its glory. And one of my friend Shane Ackerman, the bodyboarder, sent me a message and told me that gonna be that he was going. So he told me that I should come. So I actually packed my bag and we drove in the Arvo like 3 hours to score in the morning, and that was the day. It was really special when everything comes together, because you need like a nice sunrise as well for the light to be glowing through the wave. So yeah, high tide in the morning, offshore wind, little swell, nice direction, and the sunrise. So a lot has to come together to make that happen. But I got lucky enough to make it work. So I was stoked on that shot. That was one of the best shot I got on the east coast of Australia. Because I've been to Sydney. I've been in Sydney for the past. When I was living there, I spent like 6 months there. But yeah, not so much. We didn't get so much good swells when I was there, so it was good to make that one happen.
And 3 hours south of Sydney, we're talking about Nara, maybe Gerringong, Wollongong. Is that the region?
It's more down. It's called Aladala.
Aladala, yeah, I love it. Yeah, I did some time in Australia also. It's beautiful, beautiful part of the country, and just the people are just incredible down there in the south. Um, Speak to your because
Yeah, good spot.
the surfing there is awesome too. Waist high, chest high waves, beach breaks. Speak to some of those sessions you had and how those were for you.
Well, it's a good region for surf for sure. We would, me and my friend will go camping once in a while, maybe once every month. Have a group of friends that love camping, so we would go and camp in the north, camp in the south, and that's where I had like the best session because we're like going for like a couple days straight. While I was in Sydney working and stuff, it was hard to make stuff happen because you get stuck in the routine and stuff. But no, it was definitely fun to go down south, go camping, surf a little bit. Yeah.
And uh, looking more on your travel spectrum, when you go to locations like Turkey or Oman, places that aren't ocean centric, are you finding water, and what is that like for you as a water person when you find it at these spots, and kind of tell us a little bit about those locations also.
I mean, I love shooting in the water, and the ocean has been part of my life, but I love traveling as well. I love culture, I love food, I love anything that's travel related. It doesn't need to be ocean related for me to be happy. When I was traveling with my partner, we would go to some random places in the middle of nowhere just to meet new people, just to see new things, experience new stuff, and yeah, have new experiences. It doesn't really need to be ocean related.
And to pin you down on that,
You
what
go in the
it
desert of Oman, like,
yeah, what is it
well, make
about?
it to the desert of Oman. Sorry,
Oh, I
we're talking at
keep
the same
busting.
time.
Yeah, sorry about that. Go
Nothing, we're
on.
delayed. That's why. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Okay, let me pin you down on this region, because it's a part of the world that is foreign to so many. What is it about, I suppose, the Middle East? Let's go there. That you love so much, the culture, the people, the food, and what's your favorite spot there in the Middle East?
I mean, we just made it to Oman when we were there. We didn't travel much in the Middle East, just Oman. It was an incredible experience. It was one of the most different thing I ever seen. You make it to the desert, you do sunrise in the desert, and you do sunset in the wadi. Wadi are like oasis, basically. They're like crystal clear turquoise water in the middle of the red dirt desert. It's like being in Utah with like a waterfall in the middle with like turquoise water. Is something you never experienced in your life. You get there and you're like, this is out of this world. This really looks like a movie set or something. So being able to experience those places so far away from home, so different than what I've seen in my life, it's was very special. And to be able to share it with my partner, to being able to travel with her for like a year and a half was very, very special. And we had some of the best days out there for sure. One of the best day of our lives.
Speak to this water in the desert, because it's sounds like myth legend. An oasis in the middle of a desert. Where does the water come from? And describe it a little more.
Well, where the water come from, I'm not really sure, but in the desert
And
for
I'm on
an
your
hour or
Instagram
2 hours.
feed. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yes, yes. That was just like a hole. I don't remember how they call it, but some other places, yeah, similar to this. It's like red desert with turquoise emerald water. And
So
you
it's
drive
almost
in
like
the
a
desert and you
aquifer.
don't think, yeah, you don't believe there's water anywhere near where you're hours in the desert, and you arrive at this place when there's like a waterfall and palm trees. And
Do you hear me now?
I hear you. You hear me?
Okay, sick. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Sorry about that. I don't know if that was you or me, but I'm loud and clear back with you.
All
Yeah.
right.
All right. And now out of all these places you've been, I got two questions for you. One, what strikes you as like the best place?
Well, it's hard to say, to be honest. It's really hard to say. It's hard to pick. It's like picking a favorite child.
Yeah, I
But
get it.
there's a place I didn't talk about. But when I was in Australia, I actually got a chance to shoot cyclop, and that was one of the most special day I ever got to experience for sure. Shooting
Oh,
waves, it
oh,
was
please, let's go
incredible.
there. I've heard about this spot. Tell us the story. Who were you with? Where were you? And tell us a little bit about the location for those that don't know.
The location, it's 2 hours east of Esperance, which is located in the south part of Australia, part of the Western Australia state, but in the south of Australia. And that was the day we were supposed to leave Margaret River to go up north and do a 6-week road trip with my girlfriend. And her birthday was the next day. And my friend Chris Bryan, a very renowned cinematographer, hit me up and told me that he had like a spot for me on the ski to go and shoot cyclop for the next 2 days. And it was a Sunday noon, and we had to drive 9 hour east to get there the next day instead of going 12-hour north. So we actually changed our plan, dropped everything. It was my girlfriend's birthday, and she was so happy to support that decision and drop everything and go there and meet him 9 hour away from where we were. And yeah, it's one of the most remote location you can imagine. And I got really lucky that Chris was nice enough to invite me on that trip. It was one of the most special day I ever got a chance to witness for sure in the ocean. It will be forever. It'll be hard to top it for sure. It was like I shot 5,500 shots in 2 days, and there's not much throwaway.
And what makes the wave so special to you in your heart? And then particularly on that day, what made it so special?
Well, the first afternoon was good. It wasn't crazy good. It was still like moving. The wind was not perfect. The next day we got 8 or 9 hours of perfect surf from sunrise, sun up to sundown. Perfect conditions all day. And what's make it so special is that first of all, the fact that it's so remote and so hard to reach, and also the fact that there's wave every 10 seconds basically. And every wave, it could be like 3 foot or 10 foot. It will make something different every time. But the fact that there's so many waves after waves, and they're all special in some ways. So That's what made the day so special. It came because there was like so much to shoot compared to like a big day at Teahupo. It's gonna take, you know, an hour for every set to come, you know. You'll have like mid-size waves in between, but you really want like the big thick ones that takes a while to, you know, to show up. But Cyclop, it's like every other 12 seconds there's a wave, and a very special one to capture. So that's what made it so special and so different than what I've seen before. And yeah, the place is so hard to reach. It's unbelievable. We had to drive for 9 hours just to reach the park, and then we had to we park at like 9:30 at night. We set up camp, slept, woke up at midnight to drive on the beach when the tide was low. So we were able to drive there. We drove for an hour and a half on the beach, and then set up camp again. Woke up at 5 in the morning, put the ski in the water, drove for another like kilometer on the ski, and then made it happen. It's like a big mission to be out there.
And how did your friend know that it was going to be what it was? Is he just like a wizard of condition reading and knew that this was going to be the deal? Because that's a mission.
He, he's the best for sure. He's a world renowned cinematographer. Chris Bryan, you probably heard of him, and he's a wizard. He was in Shipstern like a couple weeks, like a couple days ago. He's like everywhere. He flies to Tahiti all the time. He knows he lives for this. He chased like the craziest labs on the planet. And he knew I was in Margaret River, and we just never linked up. He's from Sydney, Australia, and he flew down there the week before. He scored actually 2 days in a row, and then hit me up the next weekend, and he was like, "He's still gonna be on. You should come." And then made it happen, I guess. Luckily, I was on ready to move from where I was. I wasn't working on anything, so we were able to. The car was already packed, and we just drove 9 hour.
Yeah. And how did you guys develop your relationship before that?
I met him in Tahiti on a shoot for Polo Ralph Lauren. So he was shooting surfing for them, and I was just assisting. Medina was there, and a couple of the pros. It was nice shoot. That's how I met him in Tahiti.
Sick. Back to Cyclop. And what so you launched the ski, like the fact that you had to drive another hour on the beach at low tide means that you're pretty stuck in this remote location. If anything happened,
Yeah,
you
we came there for 3 days. We didn't see anyone out there, and the closest town is probably like 2 hours and a half away, and it's just like the town is like a gas station basically.
wow. And
You're
you
like
have a
3 hours away from Esperance, which is like a small town in Western Australia.
epic, and you have a ski, so you get out there. Are you shooting how did you guys do it? Did you drive some and he shot and then you shot in the water? What was your system?
He's the master at this. He had like a Pelican case between us, so he was able to drive and shoot, take out the camera, shoot, put it back, and I was just like sitting at the back shooting. She just let me shoot. He was like, "Oh, if you want to drive, you can help me out." And then when we were there, he just told me, "You know what? Just do your thing and shoot, and I'll do the rest." He was incredible. He's so good at this. He's able to like drive and shoot at the same time. And he has like a $150,000 camera too, so it's not something you want to drop in the water.
Was it in a water housing?
Yeah. No. His camera was not. He has a water housing for it, but he shot without it.
Wow, that's insane, dude. So
Yeah,
did you
he shoots 1,000 frames per second.
and uh was he doing this for a project or just out of the stoke of getting some insane material?
A bit of both. He everything he does is for a project at some point, but he's just like the biggest frother. He'll do it even if he doesn't make money out of it, but he would at some point. But it's always like for a project, you know. It's it's in the
Yeah.
works.
Speak to a situation like that, it's almost being with a mentor of a sort, and what you then take away in your soul and go on the next time you do something great, and you're able to hold a previous moment like that in yourself to then do greater things.
I mean, the way he put himself out there, the energy spent to make it happen. He flew from Sydney to Perth, drove from Perth to for like 2 hours. His car broke down, turned around, went back, pick up another car with the ski, drove another 10 hours to Esperance, drove another hour and a half, got stuck in the sand, used his pelican case to get unstuck from the sand, slept in the pickup truck by himself, all of this by himself, put the jet ski by himself in the water, shot for 2 days, came back only eating like an orange and drinking a liter of water, and then calling me like 2 days after to tell me to do it all over again. And I'm like, this is the effort you need to put in to make things happen, you know. And a
Bro,
week after that, he'll fly to Shipstern, Tasmania, or Tahiti, or and I'm never gonna complain about driving an hour in my life, you know. I'm like, this is the effort you got to put in if you want to make incredible work, you know. It's unbelievable the effort he puts in his work, and that's very inspiring to me.
and inspiring to me and everyone listening. Thank you so much for sharing that story. That's out of control. Um, let's go back to that present moment. I want you to talk about the aesthetic of the water in that scene, in that moment that lives in your heart so deeply. Talk about the form of the wave and the color, and bring us there if you could.
Well, like I said, we had the most perfect day. So from sunrise to sunup, from sunup to sundown, the waves been firing, glassy, everything you can wish for. We had the most perfect morning blue to the incredible glowing green at sunset. So the colors just happen in front of your eyes. And I'm just here to record it. You know, you don't have to do much. You're just here to witness like the beauty of the wave, and every wave is so different. You'll have like the most perfect wave that's barreling normally, and then the next one will be like mutant with like faces in the wave, in the faces of the wave. It's pretty special. It's anything I ever seen. It's not like yeah, I never seen anything like it. It's a very very different wave, very special. It's hard to explain
And
how
did
a
you
wave can be so different one after another.
did you see any surfers there or bodyboarders?
No. A surfer was supposed to come, but he never showed up. But it's definitely not a wave people surf on a regular basis. Some people have surfed it. Some bodyboarders have charged it over the years, but I don't think it's often surfed.
Incredible. uh being with him and him being a videographer, you're a photographer. Do you ever have time where you're like, maybe I should shoot video, or is photography in your artistic headspace a completely different art form that you're focused on?
I've been shooting a little bit of video lately. I've been enjoying it since I got my new water housing. I'm able to like record 4K 120 in the water, so it's been fun. It's definitely not that far away from photography. Like the framing is pretty much the same. You put yourself in kind of the same position. It's not something I like to experience with. Then it's like a total different thing that what he does, like at a total different level. You know, the thing he's able to capture with his camera is like a wave will last like a minute and a half. Like one wave will take maybe 70 gigabytes worth of space, you know. It's incredible, like 1,000 frames per second. It's like very very next level,
Yeah. um
but it's
as,
inspiring to say the least.
Absolutely. Just the stoke of the story of what it takes, because a lot of people, we're so flooded with content that the common person doesn't know what it takes to get amazing footage, amazing material, and that story pretty much breaks it down, the trip that it takes and the effort.
Yeah,
You
yeah. Oh, you'll see it online. It's like a 20-second video, but it's actually take him like 36 hours to get to that point, you know.
Yeah, and you spoke a second ago about the amount of space that digital content takes when you're out there and you're getting it. I spoke at the start that the Western Digital Hard Drives is sponsoring this podcast. How do you manage to control your digital content when you're on the road or even at home? And do you have a philosophy around, like, I know personally in my time shooting, I can't delete anything. So I've bricks and bricks of hard drives, just with all, even the worst photos I've ever taken, I can't delete. Can you speak to the process of your storage system and how you handle storing your content?
Well, I try to delete what's not in focus and what's definitely not enjoyable to watch, because we shot so much over the years that you can't really allow yourself to back up some stuff you don't want to keep. But I'm the kind of person who like triple back up everything because I'm so scared I'll lose my photos. Like the Cyclops photos, I've probably put them on like 5 hour drive, you know. No, I'm not losing those. But yeah, I've been buying so many hard drive lately. I've traveled with like 3 hard drives coming to the Mentawais. And I have like hard drives scattered everywhere. I back up everything 3 times at least.
What brand do you use?
A little bit of everything, to be honest. I had a couple Lassies, couple Samsung T7. I got WDs as well. Plug-in, little plug-in.
Yeah, shout out Western Digital. Sick.
Yeah.
So I'd like, before we wrap things up, like, where do you see, you're in the Mentawais now? What's the future look like for you?
Well, I take it like a day at a time. I'm trying not to project myself too much in the future. That's stress me out a little bit. We're still trying to figure things out with my partner. She's still in Sydney. I decided to come to the Mentawi like a couple months ago, leaving everything behind. And that's kind of like the second time I do that in a year and a half. So yeah, little by little, we'll see where life takes us. For now, I'm focusing on my trip here, trying to create beautiful imagery, and yeah, we'll see if this season is going to be a good one. Hopefully, we'll get good waves, and then we'll see. The plan is to go back to Australia in September. If I stay in Indo for like 6 months, I'll go back to Australia in September, and I'll try to make it to Tasmania by the end of the year for holidays with my partner, just to visit the place. If I could line it up with a swell, it would be amazing to see a ship's turn. But that's pretty much what's ahead of me.
Have
Indo
you been
for 6 months and then going to Oz.
have you been to Tasmania?
No, it's on my list. It's a bucket list for sure. I almost made it down there before coming here, but it was a little bit of a rush, so we decided that we're gonna like push it for later this year.
What other locations on the planet are you like itching to get to?
Oh man, the list is long. I would love to keep traveling for years to come. There's a lot of places I would like to see. I'd love to go to Iceland for aerial photography. That's one of the places I'd love to do some drone shots there. In terms of waves, I'd love to go to Namibia, Jeffreys Bay. I'd like to see Nazare as well, like on a big day. It's not like top of the list, but I would like to see it. It's kind of like a place I'd like to experience. being in the water at Jaws as well would be epic. Pipeline on a good day. There's so many spots, like the list can go on and on and on.
And if you could get into your spaceship machine this minute, where would you go?
I'll just stay where I'm at right now. I'm happy to be here. It's been on my list for a while. The Mentawais are like a dream destination. I'm going on a boat trip in a week, so I'm super stoked on that. So we'll be traveling around the islands, and we get two little swells coming up, so we'll get some fun waves, create some image for everyone to see.
And there's another bit I forgot to hit, and that's your physical routine, as far as like staying fit, keeping a sharp way about you in the water. What's your method, your philosophy there?
I'll be lying if I was saying that I was training a lot. I do mostly surfing and diet, like eating well. It's the key to me. That makes my mind clear. But no, just surfing, honest, surfing, editing photos keep me fit.
Living that good clean life in the islands will do it, I suppose. Surfing and eating
Yeah.
well. What more can the body want? Um, Last question, sir. What's the meaning of life?
Well, that's a hard question, man. It's like, just okay. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, that's a hard one to respond, to be honest. Yeah, social connection, I guess it's a big part of it to me. It's that's what's make me keep going. Social connection and passion for sure. Passion is one of the main thing that keeps you going, you know.
Epic. Kirvan Baldassari, thank you so much for joining us on episode 48 of Speaking from Water. This has been just incredible hearing the story of the life you live and the places you've been and the people you've met. It's been epic.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
For sure, for sure. And maybe we can do a part two in the future when you capture this epic trip you're on. And we look forward to following you on your Instagram feed. The link will be on all the podcasts below. And did you want to shout out any sponsors or anybody in your life?
Yeah, shout out to HG Resort for having me, man. I'm super stoked to be here in the Mentawais. I'm laughing because the manager is here right here.
Sick. And where can
Yeah, no, I'm
people
super
where can people find them on the internet to book a trip, get out there and say what's up to you, get some sick waves, sick food.
Yeah, you can find them online. They have a website, HG's Resort, or on Instagram as well.
Yeah, and let me get one more PS question. It looked like the speaking of food, the food you're eating there looks insane. They have a just gourmet restaurant part of the camp. What's some dishes you've been enjoying?
We actually got sashimi tonight, so dogtooth tuna was on the menu. Otherwise, we have memhei, mahi, grilled tuna. We're blessed, man. Blessed to be around here in the islands eating raw fish.
You're living large, and we'll be living vicariously through you on the internet. And keep up the insane great work. And thank you again.
Thank you for having me. I hope I lived up to the
You already have, and there's no doubt that you continue to you will continue to. Kirvan, thank you.
Cheers, Sean. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too, bro. Keep in touch. Peace.
For sure.